Mm. Yeah, I think it's scary at first, but once you dive, it's the
Well,
best feeling in the world. It's yeah, and I think that's for speaking for like a lot of people in not only in this space of teaching, but also retreat participants as such. It's like awakening is the most incredible thing in the world, but it's also terrifying thinking, oh wow, I don't actually want to fit into this box anymore, and I'm going to do things the way I want to do them and not do things by other people's rules. And it's
yeah,
yeah.
yes, yes, and it is a very brave thing to do, and it's going to get you into a lot of trouble
Oh yeah.
because egos are very threatened by that.
Hmm.
It's dangerous, this stuff, isn't there? There's all this idea that we should have diversity, but what isn't allowed is any diversity of mind.
Mm,
That's
yeah,
absolutely prohibited, is diversity of thought.
yeah. Wouldn't dare.
because that is the most terrifying thing to those ego structures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
So some God, sorry.
I think as well, like the whole kind of thing of once you see past that and once you do live life by your own rules and you do challenge the ego, I think the trickiest part then is being able to put yourself out there and in your authentic way to everyone else around you that's known you when you were really in your ego. I think that
Mm,
that comes as a challenge, and I know we've spoken about that on your retreats.
mm,
Like
mm.
it's an interesting thing, like integrating that new state of being into maybe an unconscious environment. I think, yeah.
My life. How are you?
Good. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Very
You-
good.
You're looking
Glad to
well.
finally. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying the sunshine. Oh, it's so nice.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be hot where you are.
Where are you?
I'm down in Eastbourne, so I get the sea breeze.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually a little bit cloudy today, but it's warm. It's nice. Yeah.
Delightful. How's
Oh, we had a retreat this weekend, so
oh, you're in your retreat bubble.
I'm still a bit well. I'm very tired, but I got a bit spacey on Monday. So if you want to if I kind of float off somewhere,
Yeah, I bet you do. But it's quite intense holding space for like that amount of time, isn't
yes, it
it?
is.
Hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, when you're doing that, you're working on yourself too, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
So,
Your own shadows come up, don't they?
you got it. I'm sure you've noticed a bit of that yourself, haven't
Very
you?
much so, yes.
What are you up to?
What am I up to? All the things. I'm teaching a lot at the moment, which is really enjoyable. I feel in a place where I'm really loving all the work I'm doing, which
Oh,
feels really,
wow.
yes, really enjoying it. Feel very happy at the moment, very content, and yeah, just spending a lot more time with myself as well, which is good.
You're in the flow.
Yes, slowly learning to calm my life down a little bit as I have the habit of burning the candle at both ends, but I'm
Yeah.
trying to bring things down a notch at the moment. So yeah,
Ah.
feeling good.
So what do you do with your yoga? You got some classes going? Are you doing retreats?
Wow, that's kind of the next thing on my radar. So at the moment I'm teaching a lot more. So I'm teaching about 6 classes a week, and just really, really loving it. I taught a class last night actually, and that class is literally like my baby. I've always taught my Sunday night classes, and I just got such a beautiful group of people that come along, and it's fun because I do something different every week. So it's not just turning up and doing a asana or yoga class. It's like a lot of breath work, a lot of deep
Mm.
meditation, and it's yeah, really, really fun. I love that class so much. And yeah, teaching a few other classes, started teaching outside as well, which is so nice. Now the sun's come out. But next year retreats are on my radar. That's the goal for next year.
Watch this space.
Yes. Yeah.
Things, things are developing. I don't like to do future,
Yes. No. I
um, uh,
know,
but
me
it, but
neither.
it, but it does but it does appear as things are aligning.
Amazing. That's good to hear. That's
Uh,
how have the retreats been going?
I don't, they're just getting stronger and stronger. I mean, they are mental, absolutely mental.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
this weekend where we have 17 people, well, 16 people because
Yeah.
one didn't come. but they sit down. They think they're complete beginners. Some of them. They sit down and they don't even really realize what's happening. I don't think,
Yeah.
and they just start to. You can see them starting to relax, and the
Yeah.
creases going from their face, and
Oh.
as their heads kind of slip into silence.
Oh.
And I haven't said a word.
Yeah. I still like every so often just the piece of that the retreat comes back into my mind.
Yeah,
Oh, what a
yeah.
special place. The work you guys do is just
Well,
incredible.
it sounds like you're doing it too,
Yes.
doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
you're not just teaching yoga like you would see it in a gym, are you?
No,
No, no, you're teaching yoga as a spiritual practice.
exactly that. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I think that's what I've really tried to do with my classes is because I don't, it's ironically, I don't actually practice a huge amount of the asana, the postures myself. I'm practicing all the other parts of yoga every single day. But yeah, so in my classes, I try and embody a bit more of the philosophy and get people just to actually find the moment rather than, yeah, focusing on everything else. So no, it's really, yeah, I'm trying to really emphasize that in my classes because I think a common misconception in the Western world is that yoga is just stepping on your mat and doing some stretches, but oh
well, a lot of yoga classes are, aren't they?
yeah,
So,
very true.
yeah, and I think we've seen the same with mindfulness that
Yeah,
as things have become popular, they become the property of the ego.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
so it's less about your spiritual ascent and more how good you look in lycra.
yeah. It's true. Yeah,
A similar sort of thing has happened to mindfulness.
mm,
That it's become, as it becomes embraced by a consciousness not ready to grasp it,
mm,
it's perverted by those
yeah.
ego structures. I had somebody confront me the other day and ask me whether I was accredited to teach mindfulness. I mean, well, I'd stop laughing.
Oh,
I
so
mean,
funny.
what an absurd idea. What an absurd idea that you could have an
Oh,
accreditation in mindfulness.
it's a funny concept, isn't
Well,
it?
was the Buddha accredited?
Yeah.
What about Thich Nhat Hanh and Eckhart Tolle and those masters? Are they accredited? And who has the authority to accredit somebody's mindfulness?
Yeah, it's true.
That's it.
And it's really
Yeah.
interesting the people that are accredited, as there is such
Uh,
a thing, like, are they actually embodying it themselves and are they actually practicing mindfulness? Or, yeah,
yeah.
so, so funny, the whole concept.
I think the whole idea of kind of awarding a certification in it. I mean, who's in a position to judge somebody's mindfulness in a non-judging way?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's true. You're not mindful enough, so you shouldn't be teaching that.
I'm sorry, but these people are fucking nuts. Just stay away from them.
Oh,
And I
so
suspect you have a sort of similar thing with yoga, don't you?
yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
the
Yeah.
popularity and the can kill its soul, really, if you're not very
Oh,
careful.
100%. And I just think the most of my teachings, to be honest, have come from through my own experience and my own spiritual awakenings. And a lot of what I teach is from experience, not necessarily something I've read out of a textbook. So, yeah.
But but not just your teaching from experience. This is guided.
Yeah.
It's intuitive. You
Mhm.
are in the flow,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And the expression, your spiritual expression, your spiritual teaching, is
Mhm.
evolving in a beautiful, unique form,
Mm. Mm. Yeah.
guided by an inspiration beyond the book.
Yes, yeah, it's true. It's true. And I always like the concept that I'm not teaching, I'm just helping people find the teacher within them.
Mm.
Um, it's always a nice concept to think because I always find it funny being like, yeah, I'm a yoga teacher. And it's kind of just like, I don't know, it weirds me out the term teacher sometimes actually.
Mm. Mm.
I'm just there supporting and holding space for people to
Mm.
find it within themselves, which I kind of prefer that
Yeah.
phrase more than
No, I
being a
get that
teacher.
because even the label is a kind of perversion of the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe I should stop calling myself a mindfulness teacher. Actually, these days when people say, "What do you do?" I just say, "I wake people up."
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I always, yeah, I wonder, I wonder what the people that haven't woken up think of
Do you know
that.
what? I don't care because they're all mad. Why would I care what mad people think?
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant.
I think it's lovely, you know, that you have the confidence to do that, and you know that it's, and this is something that really comes with awakening and with your mindfulness practice, is that you got your own authority.
Mm,
You don't need anybody's permission to move away from the book, do you? Or to call into play something that's, you know,
mm,
come to you from a sort of inspired level.
yeah.
You and you're not afraid to play.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I think it's scary at first, but once you dive, it's the
Well,
best feeling in the world. It's yeah, and I think that's for speaking for like a lot of people in not only in this space of teaching, but also retreat participants as such. It's like awakening is the most incredible thing in the world, but it's also terrifying thinking, oh wow, I don't actually want to fit into this box anymore, and I'm going to do things the way I want to do them and not do things by other people's rules. And it's
yeah,
yeah.
yes, and it is a very brave thing to do, and it's going to get you into a lot of trouble,
Oh yeah.
because egos are very threatened by that.
Hmm.
It's dangerous, this stuff, isn't there? There's all this idea that we should have diversity, but what isn't allowed is any diversity of mind.
Mm,
That's
yeah,
absolutely prohibited, is diversity of thought.
yeah. Wouldn't dare.
because that is the most terrifying thing to those ego structures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
some God, sorry.
I think as well, like the whole kind of thing of once you see past that and once you do live life by your own rules and you do challenge the ego, I think the trickiest part then is being able to put yourself out there and in your authentic way to everyone else around you that's known you when you were really in your ego. I think that
Mm,
that comes as a challenge, and I know we've spoken about that on your retreats.
mm,
Like
mm.
it's an interesting thing, like integrating that new state of being into maybe an unconscious environment. I think, yeah.
I mean, and in some cases that's impossible.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, but you can work away at the fringes,
Mm,
and that authenticity will reject all the people you don't want anyway.
yeah. Yeah. It's
Uh,
very true. Very true.
and it will attract the energies that you do want.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
it can be quite brutal, you know, when this shift really starts to happen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, though anything incompatible with your vibration will just be removed.
Mm.
And the more you try to hang on to it, the more you will suffer.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even have a choice. It's
You
like,
know,
okay, well, you're gonna have to slip back into the unconscious if you still want to keep all your friends. To be honest, it's like
mm,
you have to make a choice, and I do agree. Like once you reach a certain vibration, the people that aren't meant to be in your life, the things that aren't meant to be in your life, will gradually fade away, and that's a hard. It's like a
mm,
full on shedding. It's tough. It's a tough thing, but once you come out the other side and you realize that you're surrounding yourself in environments that match your vibration, oh my god, it's just the most
mm. Isn't
amazing thing.
isn't that liberating?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so liberating. Yeah.
And now you're in flow with that emergence.
Mm,
Uh,
mm,
on our retreats, I don't know whether I caught you out when you came, but I tend to pick on somebody, right, when we're doing the mindful walk,
mm.
and we lean on that gate, and I get to look across the field, a beautiful field, and to just settle into their bodies and feel the vibrational field, and just look at that tree in the middle of the field, beautiful tree without any words or any judgments, or even calling it a tree, or even labeling it beautiful, just seeing it free of any interference of thoughts.
Yeah.
And as you know, when you do that, the tree comes alive, doesn't it?
Oh wow.
It
Yeah.
shines, and you feel the essence of the tree, and you feel the essence of yourself, and there's one essence, and that can be a really overpowering experience for
Oh yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I say to them, can that tree be any more perfect?
Mm.
And they go, no, it can't be more perfect. I say, is it trying to be a tree? Do you think it's seeking the approval of the other trees? Do you suppose it wishes it was a larch?
Mm.
No,
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
just a tree expressing itself perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Can
you're a
learn a lot
bit more like the tree, aren't you?
less.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying
It's, it's not
to.
a striving or a chasing. It's a getting out of the way
Mm.
and allowing that magnificence to emerge.
Yeah.
And the day your ego owns it, you're in big trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's actually it's funny. Last night in my yoga class, I taught I don't know if you're familiar with the 8 limbs of yoga, maybe not, but the one of the limbs of yoga is niyama, and it's basically the our observations of ourself within our in our yoga practice, not just talking on the mat term. And yesterday I taught a term. The pronunciation's not all there, but svadhyaya, which translates to self-study. So last night's class was all about study of the self, and it's really interesting when you get people to you say, okay, focus on your breath. How's the breath feeling? Is the breath in the chest? Okay, if the breath is in the chest, ask yourself why the breath is in the chest. And it's really fascinating kind of seeing how it unfolds and noticing the thoughts, and rather than looking at the thoughts and blocking them out, because I think that's quite a misconception
Yes, yes,
when it
yes.
comes to mindfulness, especially of if a thought comes, block it out, push it away. But no, it's observing the thought and watching that thought from afar and thinking, okay, well, what are the reoccurring patterns of my thoughts? What's that thought that keeps coming back to the mind, and why is it there, and questioning why it's there. And it's yeah, I found it super interesting teaching this last night, and how much we kind of get into those repeated patterns, and we're the only thing stopping ourselves. We are our only obstacle. It's just the ego mind. And when you actually tune in and not only just see what's going on in the mind, but also what you're holding in the body, where your breath is, and there's so many different aspects. And even without looking into the mind, your body's going to tell you what the issue is before you even get there. So
Oh, it's much more intelligent
ignore
than your
it.
thinking mind, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I know for me, I think this is, I've never really practiced any yoga.
Mm,
I do totally get it. You know,
mm,
that it's that body awareness
yeah.
that allows you access to that higher level of mind. And I think that when you talk about questioning, this is where often people get very confused,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Because if you're not very careful, the ego is questioning itself.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, what you're doing through your body aware by drawing people into the body as you're raising an awareness beyond that intellectual questioning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from where you can see the patterns and
Yeah, yeah.
you can see the limitations and see your own insanity. But
Yeah,
the risk is without that connection to the body, it's the ego questioning the ego. It's madness questioning madness,
yeah,
and
exactly.
and you'll think your way up your own backside,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's dark up there.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's also like just so interesting how much like how much the body can tell us, because I notice when I'm in a place of I know my repeated patterns so well, and God, I'm still really, really working on that. That's a lifetime's work.
Aren't we all?
My thing is I just burn the candle at both ends on a regular basis, and I'm just working, working, working. It's not a problem actually. That's not a problem at all. The thing is, I love what I do, so I find it hard to set boundaries with that. But I get so worn out and so tired, and I notice if I stop and I just notice my breath, I'm like, wow, my breath is so shallow right now. And it's crazy even in this work how you can sometimes slip into that go go go, and then you draw yourself back in. And I think it's such a blessing to have the tools and to have that state of awareness to catch yourself,
Mm.
because I think that can sometimes be part of the issue is people don't people don't catch themselves before it goes too far, and
I,
people.
I think there's something else going on here too, and it's something you have to be conscious of when you're going through the kind of rapid spiritual ascent that you are, right? Well, because with that awakening comes an enormous amount of excitement, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, enormous amount of excitement.
Mm.
And sometimes, that excitement, if you're present with it, drives you.
Oh
It,
yeah,
it
yeah,
just drives you. This the enthusiasm, the excitement, the enjoyment of what you're doing. It drives you, and your body's vibrating, and it's very energized.
yes, yeah,
And sometimes when you're like that, it's really important to
mm,
check into your physical body,
yeah,
because your physical body might be completely bloody exhausted,
mm-hmm.
yeah, and the excitement is still driving you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've found sometimes, you can see I've got over this tendency now, but sometimes I could go for 2 or 3 days without eating.
yeah,
Yeah, because I wasn't aware even that my body needed food with the vibration and the excitement. So
yeah,
like I say, it's really important
mm,
uh, to
yeah,
check in and listen to your body.
yeah. It is because you can quite easily, like you say, when you're rapidly going through this
Mm,
spiritual awakening, it can be easy to just get taken over by the excitement of it and not actually
mm,
like, yeah, part of that. You can. I just find some days I wake up and like, oh my god, my whole body is in
mm,
agony, and I know exactly why it is. It's because I feel so enthusiastic and passionate about what I'm doing at the moment, and I feel so. I just want to keep going deeper and deeper with it and keep spreading it more and more, which is like a. I feel so grateful to be in this position, but 100%, like rest is so
yeah,
important. It can be.
and, and it's also about pacing yourself.
Yes.
You know, you have to you need to pace yourself, but particularly in the kind of work you're doing, which is all really about your state of being, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
So you need to be paying as much attention to cultivating your state of being
yeah.
as you are to assisting others in cultivating theirs, because actually they're really one and the same actions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're so conditioned, aren't we? I'm sitting here doing nothing. No, you're bloody not. You're sitting there resting and restoring. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not doing nothing. Actually, you're working very hard
Mm. Yeah, it's
not
true. Yeah.
not to do stuff.
Yeah. Resisting the
That's why I
urge.
tell Christine, I'm working
Yeah.
very hard not to do that housework.
That's a good one. I
Yes.
start using that
She can see through my bullshit.
I'm going to start using that one, I think. There's no dinner tonight. I'm working so hard to be in stillness. Sorry, everyone. Oh, that's funny.
So is there a kind of a vision coming to you, a picture coming to you?
I'm kind of in this stage at the moment of um, searching for, with my teaching at the moment, I'm loving what I'm doing, but I'm ready to take people a little bit deeper.
Mm,
And at the moment, I'm figuring out how that might look, as I've watched so many of my students grow in so many amazing ways. And I'm really, yeah, I'm really, really loving it. But I feel ready to kind of help guide people, because this is a bit of a gateway for people to understand
mm,
more about this world,
mm,
and to kind of understand what it might look like
mm,
to wake up a little. But
mm,
yeah, I'm figuring out at the moment a way that I can bring people deeper into their consciousness. So
mm,
that's a process, but I think in order for me to figure out what that might look like is a little bit of work on myself and being present with myself, and I think it will come in good time.
100%. And I think this is a challenge. People have goals, don't they? That's where I'm going, right?
Mm,
And while I'm following that goal, I'm going to rule out all these other
yeah.
possibilities. I'm
Mm,
going to push these opportunities out of the way to get to my goal.
mhm,
And when you're creating from this level of mind, it's not linear,
mhm,
right? It's not about I want to get there and each step, how do I get there? It comes more in the form of a jigsaw,
mhm,
right? So
mhm,
you're here in the present moment, an idea comes to you. You're here in the present moment and you meet somebody.
mhm,
You're available for the opportunities right? And it's not all up to you.
Yeah.
When you're operating on this level of mind, this is a connected level of consciousness. You're connected to all other human beings and ultimately the source that created the universe. You know,
Mm.
it ain't all up to you. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and sometimes the biggest challenge is the patience, and I should be listening to this. Right? I'll play this back afterwards and make sure I listen to this. It's important to sometimes just let things happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. I
Mm.
completely agree. And sometimes things happen so much more organically in that way.
Exactly.
I find I've always, until probably the last 2 years, been a forward planner. Like this time next year, I want to be doing this.
Mm.
And then every day for the rest of the month, I'm going to get up and go for a run. I'm going to do this. And I've all, that's just
Mm.
always how my brain's worked. I've slipped kind of into that productive hustle period for a while. And now I've completely surrendered to that. I've let go of that. And I've found, especially this year, the start of this year, I've just felt a massive shift in my vibration, and I can really feel
I can
so
feel,
many more
I can feel it from here. All the hairs on my arms are standing on it.
Yeah, I think the opportunities come. Like I've had so many things crop up already this year. I'm like, wow, I haven't even had to like put any physical effort into this, and it's just gravitated towards me. And yeah, I think you really do get back what you project, and that's why I'm not really forcing what my next steps are, because I know, yeah, the more I spend time in this presence, the more I spend time working on myself, and the more them opportunities are going to arise. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a co-creation.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're in the flow.
exactly. And I think something else that's been really
Mm.
important to me is, I think often with the awakening, especially in the town I live in Eastbourne, I sometimes can feel quite isolated. Like, wow, am I the only
Well,
person
the only person
here
under
that is
80, aren't you?
mad? Yeah, I'm just like, I'm a
Yeah,
lunatic.
you are.
Yeah, I sometimes have them thoughts, but actually this year I've been like connecting with a lot more conscious communities, and I've booked like sober festivals and like a lot of sober conscious
Yeah.
events, and it feels really nice to connect with more people in the space, and to realize like that, yeah, I have completely lost my
Well,
mind.
yeah, you have lost your mind, and it was a pretty good move. There's a saying that if you're one step ahead of the game, they call you a genius.
Mm.
If you're two steps ahead of the game, they call you a lunatic. Oh,
That's a good
yeah,
one.
you want to stay right on the lunatic fringe, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I think
Well,
I'm.
I was comforted for many years in the belief that it was me that was mad, and then March 2020 happened,
Mm.
and I was horrified to realise it wasn't me; it was all of them.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. So interesting. So interesting. I think it's definitely a funny a funny concept when you do wake up and you kind of see. I've been really finding it interesting, all the conversations that happen on the group chat as well. Like how, yeah, when you do awaken to the absolute bullshit, it's a very different place to live in. Like we create that for ourselves in our head,
We
and
do.
once you actually realize it's all a load of shit, it's really quite easy to.
It's easy to step out,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it is easy to step out.
Mm,
Why would you believe a bloody word of it? It's clearly
yeah,
bullshit, isn't it?
yeah.
And it's also, I think there's an interesting issue about taking back the authority.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, I'm not going to be driven by my indoctrination. I'm
yeah.
going to mime my authority.
Mm,
Yeah, and I get myself in a lot of trouble for saying this, but it wouldn't be the first time. But this is the whole legal system. Is theft legal? Well, yeah, it's actually enshrined in law. It's like banking and government and taxation and corruption. This is all absolutely legal. Slavery was legal.
Yeah.
Murder is legal.
Mm. Mm.
I'm not interested in legal. I'm interested in a higher law
Mm.
that's far beyond Rishi Sunak.
Mm.
This is the ultimate authority.
Mm.
And my behavior is governed by my conscience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if something offends my conscience, I ain't fucking doing it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Whatever the law says.
Mm. And it takes a lot of yeah, a lot of peeling back that conditioning, because we've
Yeah.
all drilled into us our whole lives, and it takes a lot of peeling back to actually, yeah, to actually live in a way that you want to live and not.
Well, an authentic life. You know, if you're conscious, you're not going to do people harm.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
going to live in a loving, caring way because that's what your consciousness requires of you. Yeah. And to do anything else would offend you deeply.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not. I feel like from this conversation, a lot of people might think, oh, they're going to go and murder everyone.
No, I mean, you
But
know,
yeah, it's like,
I'm not even not murder's premeditated. I'm not ruling that out. You know, if somebody came here to jab me with a with an experimental injection, they might well get a crossbow bolt between their eyes. You know, mindfully,
with
but
love and compassion.
but it's not in me to do that.
Yeah.
You know, even to, and you likewise, if you're conscious, it's not in you to cause harm.
Mm. Yeah.
And this is not about being good, because that's an ego concept.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, God save me from the virtuous,
Mm.
because they're a nasty bunch. I think it was Hitler said that the best Nazis are the respectable people. No, I'm not talking about that virtue signaling ego nonsense. I'm talking about genuine compassion. You
Yes.
don't
Yeah.
need to stick it on your Facebook profile. In fact, you don't even need anybody to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah? You
Mm.
can be compassionate and act loving and caring in all of your actions, and nobody needs to know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's what your consciousness demands.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely that spiritual ego that creeps in,
Oh,
isn't
doesn't
there?
it just? Yeah. Oh, there were virtuous people here that wanted to be sent to concentration camp a year ago.
That's
For the greater good.
yeah, that's always a funny one. Like when you, I noticed that a lot actually when I was in Bali. The spiritual ego is
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a funny one.
If you're genuine enlightened,
Mm.
you wouldn't need to tell anyone, would you?
Very true. Very true.
You wouldn't need anybody to know.
Yeah.
In fact, it might be quite fun to keep it quiet about
Yeah.
it.
No, it's so true. It's really interesting how, yeah, I've definitely felt that come myself a few times. Like, oh, I'm doing something towards my spiritual practice, must share. And it's like, no,
No,
do it for me.
no.
It was my ego coming in, like, yeah.
And it will try and sneak at any point. At
Mhm.
any point. Oh, it still catches me.
Mm. Yeah, I think it
But,
lasts forever, doesn't
yeah.
it?
But I think it's lovely that you're claiming no responsibility for your work.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's free of ego, isn't it?
Mm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing brings me more joy.
It's not even yours, is it? It's not even your work. It's the work.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's acknowledging that there's always work to be done.
Tell me about your work with book retreats, because they're a lovely outfit, aren't they? We get quite a lot of our bookings from them. You know, and they're just a lovely, lovely outfit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give them a little bit of advert now, because they're human beings, you know? And how rare is that these days to actually engage with a human being? God.
Yes.
I did used to do something with your competitors. What were they? A bloody tripping ear shower. Oh God. What a bloody shower they are, aren't they?
I think it's
Oh,
yeah, we run things quite differently.
well they're an algorithm, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't fit in the box, you're fucked. And I spent my whole life not fitting in boxes, so we didn't get on well. Yeah. But there's no human being there. Everything is automated.
Mm,
I even made a complaint and got an automated form back.
that's just crazy, isn't it?
Well, but it isn't in that mindset.
Mm.
That's where that mindset goes, isn't it? It's anti-human. It kills the soul. Right. And what I find such a refreshing change is dealing with book retreats. Is they're human beings, aren't they? They're real people there
I
that
think
really, really do want to help and really do want the
yeah.
best for you. And they want it to work, and they're not out to shaft you or stab you in the back. They genuinely want you to do well.
Yeah.
And that's well, that's a real joy to deal with. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, I do sometimes like have a pinch me moments working with them, because it's just the compassion and the love, like even that goes on behind the scenes, as well as like when we work with the host, the compassion of love of the team, like the owners,
Mm,
my colleagues. It's just such a beautiful space to be part of. And even though it's all like on the screen through our little chats, you can just feel it. And I think
can.
it's so nice to hear that from you, because it definitely obviously reflects in the work we do as well.
Mm,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
And the feel people get from you, it's an energy that
yeah,
spreads out, doesn't it?
yeah, exactly. It is an energy, and I think genuinely every single person that works there wants the best for
Yeah.
all of the hosts, because there's such amazing retreats out there. People are
Mm,
doing
mm,
incredible work, and it's so special to be part of a team where we're so dedicated to getting that work out there and
mm,
helping people
mm,
to access all of these things in a much easier way. And I think, yeah, it's been a beautiful time of learning for me working with them,
mm,
seeing,
mm,
because I think we're kind of accustomed, like what you were saying, so many workplaces now are just automated. So many companies are automated, like even in the office, even if you go into offices, they've got like templates for everything, and it's very matter of fact and kind regards. And do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's I don't know, it's nice to actually see a difference. And it makes me think like, oh, I wish every company could navigate in this way, because what a much nicer place this world would
Yes,
be.
and actually, they're the ones that aren't going to succeed in the end. But they're
Yeah.
the ones with the money and the power and the authority at the moment. But people don't want that.
Mm,
They don't want that.
no,
They
no.
they want to deal with. They want to deal with people.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very true. No, I do feel very grateful to be part of it, and it's always lovely, like hearing your thoughts on it
Oh,
as well.
well, please pass on what I said because I think it's important that it's acknowledged because I'm sure they get lots of complaints and criticism. And it's when people do good work, they it needs to be acknowledged and appreciated, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, and I think as well, like because your retreat has just done so amazingly well. Like people are drawn to it. It's
Yeah,
just incredible. People really are drawn to it. And even myself, when I saw your listing and I was looking through it, I was like, something about I couldn't put my finger on it. I was like, just something about this retreat is really drawing me in. And so when I actually came and experienced it, I was like, I knew there was a reason I was meant to be here. So yeah, it's not even just the work that we do, like the work that you're doing as well is obviously really attracting people, and people are fascinated by it. And
we get people who are already awakening.
yeah, yeah,
And I think not the beginning of their journey very often,
mm,
or they might think they're at the beginning of their journey,
yeah,
but they wouldn't be there if they were. And I think it's like your work. When you create from that space, it's like book retreats. It's like your yoga classes. When you create from that space,
mm,
it carries an energy, doesn't it? And if your energy is tuned or tuning in that direction, then you are literally drawn to it, magnetically drawn to it.
yeah, yeah. It's true. It's very true, and I think it's yeah. You can definitely tell when people are navigating from that like completely different place of consciousness,
Yeah,
because I can feel even through a screen, even looking at retreats online, I can instantly tell
yeah.
um, the ones that I meant to the ones that I meant to be like I can just sense it. It's great. It's crazy. Like even recently, actually, I was looking at a retreat in Haywards Heath. It was like an all camping rewilding retreat, and I was like, wow, I really want to go on this retreat. I'd love to, but it was not long after. your retreat in Spain, and I was thinking, oh no, maybe now it's not the right time. And then a day later, someone that I know through social media posted that she needed someone to assist her with the chefing on the retreat. And I actually work in hospitality. I cook a lot of vegan food. I'm
Oh, wow.
passionate about it. That's my
Yeah.
little side hobby. But yeah, and it was for that retreat, and I thought, this is so weird. I was looking at it a day before. The next day she put that up, and I messaged her, and then yeah, within a couple of days I was going and working on this retreat with her, and I was like, wow, this is just crazy. You really do. You can just put that out. You can just put that vibration out, and then
Whose
so
idea?
many people,
Whose idea was it?
it's just nuts. It's just like sometimes it still blows my mind how synchronized things can be. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was just literally a thought, and I was looking at the retreat and thinking, wow, this looks really cool, I'd love to experience this. And then just like that, I was on the retreat, and I was like, wow. Yeah, that's really,
Brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah.
really amazing. Yeah.
That you tell you're in the flow when that kind of thing starts
Oh
happening.
yeah, yeah. And especially this year, actually, I've noticed it so much more than ever before. I think I've reached some other level of consciousness this year, actually. It's,
I
I
th-
mean, it's always ever growing, but it's, yeah.
yeah, it's been a big shift in you, and
Mm,
and there's an acceleration in this shift.
mm, mm,
I'm seeing people make shifts in awareness in months,
yeah.
to years for me.
Mm, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And I think it's interesting, like going on when I went on your retreat last year and then came back this year, and some of the people that were on the retreat from last year, seeing that work they've been doing in that time
I know.
and seeing such a shift.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah, wow. But even just being in that space, I think it would blow my mind if someone didn't gain something, even if they were completely not into it. It's just the energy in the room.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
deny it.
You
You
can
just
no,
cannot deny it.
no, things happen in that space, don't they?
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, I always find it really crazy in the emotional unblockage of like,
That's mad, isn't it?
I always wonder whether if I was doing that at home, like on my own, I don't know if I could get myself.
No, it's the collective energy.
It's
Yeah.
just such a strong,
Mm.
unbelievable energy. The
Yeah.
whole weekend, I feel like I'm, when I come on your retreat, I honestly feel like I enter another dimension or something. Like, it's such a strong force there, like
Yeah.
with that collective conscious energy, and how people are really, really there to do the work. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you just hold the space. You and Steve just really hold it so well. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
definitely coming back to
Oh,
that one.
you're gonna do more than that, Connie. Things are evolving. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to put future into your head, but there is an opportunity emerging here.
Amazing. That
Yeah.
that gets me very excited.
Yeah. Well, a few things need to fall into place first, but very definitely things are
Oh my
emerging.
God.
Yeah. Funny how things work, isn't it?
Yes. I could
You're
see
back. Oh.
that. Yeah. I just knew from the last retreat I went on, like I can just see that, yeah, that there's something else coming. Yeah.
There is, and our work's evolving.
Yeah.
It's changing all of the time. I mean, I just this weekend which I don't have to ask people what I said in my talks because I can't remember. I've got no idea.
I get that. I really do get that.
No idea what I talked
Yeah,
about.
yeah. I completely get that. I find that when I teach yoga sometimes. I get to the end of the class, I'm like, I have no idea what just happened.
Can you tell me? Can you remind me what we did?
Oh, it's funny. Yeah, I actually find interestingly, like it's what you spoke about at the start about how you do a lot of work on yourself when you're holding space for others, and I really get that. And I find that actually, like when I'm in my classes and when I'm teaching, it's probably the deepest state of presence I can actually connect with. I don't know if you can probably relate to that. It's,
Yes, absolutely.
oh my God, like no other. Like I even find it hard to become that present when I'm in my own space, but as soon as you're facilitating a room of people and holding a state of presence for them, like wow, like
Something takes
nothing,
over, doesn't it?
nothing else matters in that moment.
Uh,
Absolutely nothing.
uh,
Like it's
did,
impossible for a thought to creep in, really.
did you find it starts before you even get there?
Oh yeah, Yeah.
Mm.
100%.
But you
Yeah.
know what? I suspect if you asked the people that come onto your class, it starts in them before they get there too.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, you can just feel it. It's powerful, really powerful.
yeah, it's great, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And then more of this work is being spread, which makes me so happy. I just feel like so many more things are cropping up. Like I do feel like a lot of people, the retreat I recently went on, it was people similar age to me, and I found it really, really amazing to see how many people also of this generation are really waking up quite early on.
Very early on. How old are you?
26.
Oh my God. I hadn't even started. I did a 10, 15 years of causing pain to go after that.
Yeah, I feel
26.
lucky to have
Mm.
entered this so young, but I think I don't know, maybe you'd agree with this. I think often the awakening comes from some form of trauma or pain, and
Yes.
people use different. Some
I,
people will turn to
so
substances.
trauma's a really, no, it's a very essential ingredient in this awakening
Yeah,
process, absolutely essential.
mm,
And it's the trauma that will kick you into awareness or into deep unconsciousness,
100%.
depending upon the way that you're vibrationally shifting.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think there's something else going on, and I am meeting young people like yourself
mm,
who are really bloody awake,
mm,
really, really awake.
mm,
And it's almost like they're kind of born like it.
mm.
I,
Yeah.
I think there's a sort of natural progression where people, human beings lose consciousness when they become teenagers very often, and the ego starts to form and get a grip. And in many young people, it's bloody crucifying them by the time they're 20.
Yeah,
Um, but we come through that, and I think there's a young people who are incarnating now,
mm,
who are bringing through them this new world into being. I mean, I'm an old geezer, really. I've just cleared a bit of the way for you, but this is your world that you're creating.
mm. And I think I find it brings me a lot of joy in the sense of like if people of my generation are becoming awakened so young and then they're bringing more life into the world and bringing them up to be
Mm,
this way, like
mm,
I do really think we're
mm.
completely going to shift the vibration. And
I think it's happening, and I think that the trauma is an essential ingredient. It is the prerequisite.
yeah, it is.
And although, yeah, we are seeing few people reach awakening, the vast mass
Mm,
are starting this trauma process.
true,
Yeah,
yeah, and a lot of people find it through being in a really dark or low place, and
yeah.
yeah, it can be,
So there's a
yeah,
lot of trauma to come first, I think,
mm,
people.
100%, yeah.
Um, that just kicks more into awakening.
100%. And I think it's interesting what you said about you either kind of come more into the unconscious
Mm,
or you go into the consciousness, because I definitely
mm,
found like after some trauma I had in my life,
mm.
my first point of call was okay, I'm going to get absolutely smashed every day of my life.
Yeah, that's one option.
Yeah, I was like, nice, that will do for now, that will numb it, that will suppress it a bit more. And
Um,
I actually went traveling and just got absolutely drunk out my brains for months and months and months straight. And then I think something clicked to me and I was like, wait, what on earth is happening here?
um,
And it's really interesting that when you suppress that trauma and then when you go and stay in that place of unconscious for so long, then you come back into a place of consciousness, how much pain you're going to be in from
yeah,
all the shit you've
yeah,
suppressed for all that time. And I
yeah,
do think that's the case for so many people I speak to about this. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, the deeper you go into the unconscious, the more painful it is to come out, but also
Yeah.
the
And this is the flaw in the ego,
yeah, yeah,
that ultimately it creates so much suffering that people are compelled to escape it.
yeah, yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's kind of eating itself alive, really.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that in the external world,
Mm,
which really is a reflection of that collective ego.
mm,
It's as the systems and structures collapse,
mhm,
it's literally eating itself.
yeah. Very true.
It's a funny thing, really, but in its desperation to maintain itself, it's destroying itself more.
Mm.
I mean, for my sins, I distribute the Light newspaper. Have you come across it?
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
people that hand that out in
yeah,
Eastbourne actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
I distribute it for this area, and I have done since the beginning. And the BBC, was it Mariana Springs, head of disinformation, which I think is an interesting title, because the BBC and disinformation kind of go hand in hand, don't they?
That's
But
very
anyway, but she did a hit piece on the Light newspaper, basically.
wow.
Accused us all of being right-wing fanatics and Nazis and anti-Semitic and all the rest of it,
Wow.
and I spoke with Darren, who runs the library, and I said, well, you can demonstrate all this is false. Are you going to sue them for damages? And he said, I don't think it's damaged us.
Mm.
And actually, when I came to deliver my papers this month, it was, have you got any more? Have you got any more? I could have
Mm.
distributed 3 times as many. So,
Yeah.
their attempts to bring people back into that mind control are actually they're looking ludicrous now.
Mm.
And if anything, encouraging people to look elsewhere. If the BBC says I shouldn't be reading this, I want a copy.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah, no, it's true. It's almost like reverse psychology
But
of
it's reached that point, I think. The
yeah.
propaganda is now so transparent and absurd
Mm.
that it turns people away. Well,
Yeah.
we saw an example at the weekend, really. I took a sort of cursory glance at the retreat with this business where Prigozhin, the head of the Wagner Group, takes his army to go and to challenge Putin, wasn't it? It was a coup, an attempted coup, and you've got the mass media saying what a wonderful guy this guy Prigozhin is. He's actually a fucking psychopath. It's a gangster with a private army. But anyway,
I must admit, like I am so out of the loop with any I choose to because I can go down rabbit holes
yeah,
looking.
the rabbit hole's not good. I like to keep an eye on what's going on
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
like to see the brainwashing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I thought how interesting in 24 hours, this
Mm.
guy went from being a murderous
Mm.
thug fighting against Ukraine to
Mm.
being the hero of democracy and back to being a murderous thug in 24 hours.
Saying something, absolutely saying something. Yeah, I find when I start to research into all this and I start to see all the brainwashing,
Yeah.
I'm like, I could go somewhere else if I keep reading.
Yeah, no, and that's also a risk because, like you say, the risk is that you fall into that lower vibration, and
Yeah.
the brainwashing is going on in that field too. There's plenty of psychological operations going on in social media. I can
Oh
see,
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
but it is losing its credibility,
Mm.
and to anybody with any awareness, it's looking increasingly ludicrous.
It's just nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Did you
Yeah.
see that? You sense that sort of political awakening amongst your peers?
A political awakening.
Yeah, as well as a spiritual awakening. Not that they're separate things, really.
I think a mix.
Mm,
Um I think because I kind of like remove myself from the situations, like I have my way of thinking, I have my opinions, I
mm,
live in the way that I authentically want to live.
mm, mm,
Um that I would yeah, I noticed like a big shift in maybe opinions between different friends.
mm, mm,
I noticed obviously a lot of what was going on social media was quite shifted. And I think the craziest part was of how much of a like divide that it does create
mm.
and
Quite
how
deliberately, that's part of the operation.
yeah, well yeah, it's true,
Yeah.
it's intentional, but the fact that there's just this big divide between the two and that can cause so much conflict
Mm,
within
mm,
friendships, and I know people that have like lost friends over it, and I know
mm,
people that
mm,
have had god such huge arguments and confrontation and all of
mm,
this stuff like throughout the past couple of years. And
mm,
I think that that frustrates me in a sense of how it has to be so rigid.
Well, they're ego positions, both of those, aren't they?
Exactly, exactly. And why, and if we just come together and share our opinions in a more compassionate and loving way, and open people's minds up in different ways, and yeah, it will be much easier. But
Mhm.
whereas people that have one opinion and then you try and tell them something else, and they just
The challenge is, you know, if you're, and I, oh God, I was absolutely bought into the whole thing. I mean, I was so bought into it. I was an enforcer of the system. I was a social worker at one point.
Mm,
You know, I had
yeah,
bought into it that deeply. You know, and I remember then actually quite a lot of our training, what we were doing was mind control. It was presenting an approved view of the world, an approved way of seeing things. If you didn't see it that way, you were bad or dangerous. It's much more refined since I was at university. But I sensed that then. I mean, I absolutely bought into the system as enforcer of the system. You know?
mm,
And at that time, I would have angrily rejected anything that questioned it
yeah. And I get that. I've definitely had that as well.
because it would threaten my very sense of self.
Yeah. Mm,
If what this person was saying was true, which with hindsight probably was,
mm,
um,
yeah.
that meant that I couldn't be who I thought I was and everything I believed in, and the worldview that I held onto so strongly must be false. And
Yeah.
that's a terrifying thing for people.
Yeah. And you
Uh,
do identify so much with the opinions you have as well. Like when you're
well,
in
the
your
ego does, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
yeah, 100%. Like you're once you have this fixed way of thinking, or this, yeah, if you're thinking from a place of ego, it's kind of, yeah, you identify as that, like all your morals lie in that, and you can't be swayed either way, so it's
Because to do so would be the death of self.
exactly, yeah, 100%.
Uh,
Yeah,
the spiritual awakening and political awakening are the same thing, really.
exactly the
Once you stop believing your own bullshit, then it all becomes quite apparent, doesn't it?
same, all the
Yeah,
other bullshit as
and I think, you know, on the retreats, it does strike me that I can have conversations with people
well.
about this,
Mm,
and they are open. And actually quite relieved to speak to somebody that's also open to these possibilities. Yeah.
mhm.
And that's pretty much everybody.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much everybody. And I
Mm,
think you really wouldn't find that in many places.
no, I think,
They're they're awake to the spiritually awake and politically awake too. And I think they're one and the same things.
yeah.
Because ultimately it is really all about stepping out of the egoic frameworks, that indoctrination, that conditioning and learning that has kept humanity so imprisoned and enslaved. You
Mm,
know, as you awaken from that and you reclaim your own authority, then these structures disappear.
mm,
Uh,
yeah.
they have no power. These people really
Mm,
have no power. It's all mind control. They couldn't enforce any of this if they wanted to. If we said no,
yeah.
it's all self-enforced
Mm,
and enforced by others who have bought into it and believe in their righteous, moral, virtuous way that enforcing the slavery is the right thing to do. But it's all here.
mm.
And one of the people that I distribute my light papers to is thinks that he's suspended from the net for a long time because he refused to wear a mask. but his partner's got a gift shop, and they take my papers and they distribute them. And I was talking to him about the Met Police, and he was saying, some of those marches in London, they were in there between 300,000 and 500,000 people for some of those marches.
Mhm.
And before one of the marches that he was policing, he knew they cleared all of the police cells in London. They cleared them all, right?
Ready to put the
And they had 306 available cells.
wow.
Right? If 310 people had gone F you,
Mm,
there's nothing they could do about it.
yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So really, who really has the power?
Mm, yeah. No.
Yeah. And I think a big part of this sort of spiritual and political awakening is reclaiming your power. By whose authority?
Mm,
Who gave you the authority to tell me this, to impose this upon me?
mm,
By what right do you have that authority? Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
It's just
yeah.
crazy that we even let someone else control our actions, isn't
Well,
it?
particularly these people who really aren't deserving of your authority. When you look at their behaviour, they're not the kind of people you should be looking up to, and
Trusting.
that.
Yeah, exactly that. I sometimes have like thoughts. I sometimes have thoughts of like, oh, imagine a world where it was run by just like unconscious, sorry, a conscious community.
Well, this is what you're creating, Connie. This is what you're here to do.
Mm,
Yeah, and
yeah,
your expression is yoga and spiritual teaching.
mm,
Yeah, but this is what you're here to do.
yeah,
Yeah? Because this isn't a top-down shift. Right? This is not some technocrat deciding that through mind control that they are going to get you to submit
mm,
completely to them so they can control every aspect of your life, what you buy, what you sell, what you
yeah,
say, what you think, what you wear, what you eat, where you live, where you go, where
mm,
they want to control every minute aspect of your life.
yeah,
It's you going, no, I have authority.
hmm,
Yeah, and I'm governed by my conscience,
yeah,
by a higher authority than that.
mm,
Yeah, and that is driving my actions and my behavior.
hmm,
Your presence affects people. You're already affecting huge numbers of people
mm,
with your work, with your presence, right? And that affects them, and that affects other people. One of the
yeah,
most beautiful things about this work, I've been doing it for 20 odd years now, is just seeing people developing their own expressions.
yeah,
You know, from one little seed, but they're everywhere. Yeah,
mm,
and they're sprouting up. And one conscious person can have a huge effect on so many people.
100%.
Yeah, and that spreads out through families, through organizations, through societies, and that is a bottom-up shift.
True. I
Yeah,
find it really, I can relate to like some of the stories you told on the retreat because I work in part-time in a cafe as well. Um, so obviously it's a very customer facing role,
yes, yes,
and I work with a lot of the general public, and I like could really relate to the story you told about when that guy turned up on your retreat and was angry about the drumming, and when you the way you dealt with it and the way he then reacted, because I get
yeah.
that a lot in my job. I Even when someone is like really furious about something or like really like rude or like passionate about something, or I always just react from a place of presence and calm, and diffuse the situation and seeing the shift in the way that they are. And that's actually part of the reason why I really just love working in this cafe, because I'm able to spread that vibration
Well,
onto the general public. And I have conversations with my colleagues sometimes because I've worked in hospitality since I was 14, but they've all worked in this cafe for much longer than me. And they're saying, oh, soon enough you'll break and you'll start snapping back at people. And they're saying, I don't understand how you can stand on the till all day and not get triggered by anyone. It's really funny. And I say, well, because if I'm triggering back at them, then that's completely shifting the vibration. It's going to put me in, quite frankly, a foul mood. It's going to put me back into my ego. So why? I don't see a reason why I'd want to navigate from that place.
but you have a choice, don't you?
Yeah, but
You have a
it's
choice.
just funny. It's
Yeah.
it's like really. I think actually this is where I say yoga's not just on the mat. It's in my everyday life, and that for me, practicing that presence with people and noticing my triggers and them things. That's the work I'm doing. That even when I'm at the cafe, like and it's
Mm.
it's amazing how much you can bring this into, like, you don't have
Yes.
to be sat meditating, or you don't have to be doing breath
Mm.
work to it's in the everyday. It's in
You,
the
you,
everyday.
you could be teaching mindfulness, giving somebody a cup of tea and a piece of cake.
Yes, exactly.
That's a really lovely way to do it too,
Exactly.
isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, and I think it's spreading that through other work as well, not just through my intentional spiritual like classes and yoga classes, it's actually spreading that into your friends, into your family, into the general public, and then that's how we're going to shift as a collective, shift things.
That's how you create the new world, Connie.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly that.
through your presence. You are the architects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's spreading that onto other people, and then there's hundreds of architects.
I think it's a done deal, really.
Yeah,
But there's
exactly.
some tribulations to go through first, and as you know, that's an essential ingredient in the awakening process.
Yeah.
And the world needs people like you to help lead them through this, and that's what you're developing. And if we can be a part of that, that would be a real blessing.
And I honestly, like, I know I say it time and time again, but honestly, I think your retreats are just a trigger for so many people to go through that spiritual awakening. It's the perfect gateway.
The
Is
Now Project's a platform. Right.
mm,
I'm cracking on a bit now. I'm 60 this year, right? I semi-retired many years ago, but you know, and it's time for me really to develop this and hand it on. You know, but this isn't about. It's not about me telling people how to teach. People say, "How do you teach mindfulness?" I say, "I don't know how you teach mindfulness." Yeah, I want the project to be. It's always been intention, a platform for people to develop and grow and express in their own unique, beautiful way.
yeah, and it's the umbrella effect, isn't it? It's like what you're teaching on your retreats is going to pass down to all the, I don't know,
Oh,
50
guys,
20 people per
it's not my teaching any more than it's yours. The day I claim any credit for that, we're in trouble. Because my ego's track record ain't great, I'm telling you.
It's a fair point.
Do you know what, Connie? This has been fabulous to chat with you. Thank you
It's so nice to
thanks
catch up.
so much for this.
Thank
It's
you.
wonderful.
Thank you for having me on. It's been, yeah,
Pleasure.
lovely to catch up. We finally got
Yeah,
there.
where do people find you if they want to get involved in your yoga class? Do
I'm
you have a
on,
website or anything?
I have a website. It's connieroseyoga.com. And I have an Instagram, which is Connie Rose Yoga.
There we go. There we go. That's where you find you.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
that's where you can find all my classes.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much, Connie.
Thank you,
We'll
Adrian.
watch this space. I think we'll be working together shortly.
Awesome. Thank you. So
Take
nice to
care.
catch up. Bye. Thank you.